right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of another Bourbon Show. And this is our first try at a new format that I still don't understand.
But
Ryan's
that's
explained it.
that's the way to sell it, by the
It
way.
is the way to sell it. It's honesty. Honesty is always the best policy. All I know is that Steven told us to go get Wild Turkey 101, Elijah Craig's small batch, and Four Roses small batch. And Ryan and I both failed miserably at that task.
Which is
Different
ironic.
levels of failure.
It's ironic because it's supposed to be an episode all about easy to find, easy to acquire bottles.
Really good point. Really good point. But yeah, so I failed in that I couldn't acquire Four Roses small batch, and Ryan failed in that he couldn't find Four Roses small batch or Elijah Craig small batch. But to be fair, we were also looking at buying the little 50 ml bottles that are so small they disappear on my cam. So there you have it. So what do we do next, Stephen?
Well, let's just give them a try. I guess since we have Wild Turkey 101, all of us, let's just try that one first. And basically, we're just going to take a trip down memory lane, retry some of these old classics, kind of give our impressions again, and see if they still hold up after all the other whiskeys we've had, and which of these three is the best. And I guess you guys will have to do, for these three specifically, we can talk about other ones too, but for these three specifically, you might have to go based on memory for some of the others.
Okay. Sounds good.
Let's do it.
But I do have the Elijah Craig small batch, so I can at least compare those two.
Gotcha.
Are you doing a bottle rating?
No, I think we've done label reviews on all these things before, so we'll skip the label review. I'll say my favorite out of the three, though, now that Wild Turkey now that they changed what I thought was like a solid 9 previously, and we got this, it's a nice piece of glass, but the actual label has just been downgraded to just this sticker. Basically, that's all I would consider it. It's just on there. Yeah, Dan's got the one that looks nice. This one is just a
Is mine different too?
Yours is a third different
Yeah.
one, yes. And I prefer the one you've got, Ryan, over this at least.
Yeah.
But Dan has the one I like.
Got that big turkey right there.
But since Wild Turkey changed theirs, Four Roses is my favorite of these three labels. And it's not like
Is the label or the bottle?
The label.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's just it's the one that has the most to it, honestly. It's not that difficult of a running, to be honest, between these three, because this one, now we got to visit the Four Roses distillery, and they do a great job with the branding, and so that carries through on the bottle. I just think it's a little bit better than some of these others. I think the other two rely more on the recognition that they have for the brand at this point. And Four Roses is just doing a great job with the branding in general, and all their merchandising is fantastic. So, yeah, I'm giving it to Four Roses of the three.
Okay.
I always respect companies who actually put thought and care into their 50 ml bottles. Because, no offense to Wild Turkey. And, I also have Benchmark and M. Williams here, which is pretty much the same bottle. But it's cool. I know Jack Daniels does a good job with their 50 mLs across the board too, like the small Gentleman Jacks and Woodford. Like, they're all really, really cool. So I like what Four Roses did there.
Yeah.
Well, let's drink some Wild Turkey.
Let's do it.
Cheers.
Guys.
Cheers. I'm going to pour mine right now.
It's got such a great nose. For being so inexpensive, it's just got a great nose. It doesn't punch in the face with alcohol. It's just got a great nose.
I just think it's so well balanced.
Yeah.
It's like if I had to, there's a lot of budget bottles I love, And we have like Elijah Craig Small Batch was the other one. I was like in between if I had to pick one. But I think that Wild Turkey 101, if somebody just told me I can only get one bottle, I think Wild Turkey is up there still as like one of my top recommendations because they don't even have to tell me what they're using it for or what they like. It's just like, you're probably going to like this because you can use it. It's cheap enough. You can use it with your cooking. It probably is good if you're cooking, making something like bourbon-y. If you are shooting it, if you're drinking it, if you're sipping it, if you're having it with ice, I think it holds up to just about anything. Put it in cocktails. It's great. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's good. I don't appreciate it enough, for sure. You know,
I think most people don't. I really don't. Like, I remember like before the bourbon boom started, Wild Turkey 101 was almost a punchline for some jokes, right? Like it really was considered to be like bourbon itself was considered to be a poor man's liquor. And Wild Turkey 101 was like the fucking, I don't know, the nameplate of that running butt of a joke. And I still think that people don't give it credit for how damn good it is.
I think you're right. I remembered for one reason or another it being kind of like Wild Turkey, Rebel Yell, and Southern Comfort were kind of like the three that were always kind of like, I don't know, you associated them with like domestic disputes and
Yeah.
like episodes of Cops, they'd be on in the background, they'd
Right.
always have a bottle out there. But it's just because it's affordable and widely distributed.
Hmm.
I think it comes down to that. But if you're going to buy, because the people, they may be on Cops, but if you just have like little shooters lying around, well, who knows what it'll be? Maybe it's Jack Daniels, maybe it's whatever. But if you have a bottle, if you went through the trouble of buying a full bottle, probably SoCo. You know what I mean?
it could
It's like,
could have been genius marketing, dude. Cameraman's like, just put that over there.
it's true. Yeah. Dude, speaking of which, I don't think I mentioned this to you guys, but when I was in Jamaica, there would just be Campari signs all over the fucking place. And there would be like, I mean, I'm telling you, we would come like a guy taking us to a place and giving us a tour on the road. He would just point out, he's like, oh, that's like a village church right there. Campari signs all over it. It was really funny. You know what's funny is another one of the first things they tell you if you're driving through, they will point out to you because it'll be obvious. Maybe you'll bring it up. KFC is such a massive thing over there that like KFC has sponsored different street signs and whatnot. So like it'll tell you, this is like East Second Street or something like that. And on top of that, they'll just have a big bucket, like a chicken bucket there. And they have in like downtown Montego Bay, they have like a 2-story KFC. And our driver told us, like, we were kind of making fun of the KFC, and he goes, oh yeah, it's serious down here. He's like, if you take a girl on a date there, it's like it's getting pretty serious if you take her to the KFC. And
Really?
he's not joking.
All right, I'm definitely going to Jamaica, dude.
Shout out to Garfield. If you're listening to this somehow, that was his name.
He
If you're-
is.
And he is.
We're like, why do we have all these?
Worldwide?
Why do we have all these hits out of Jamaica?
As if we can track.
Another rum show. We just completely switched.
I'm gonna move on to the Elijah Craig small batch.
I'm gonna do the same. Are we
Alright,
supposed to do something, rate anything, or
Nah, at the end we'll just say our comparison, I think. But we can give it a rating too.
that's good.
10.0. Just kidding. It's really good.
Elijah Craig small batch is, I think, a little bit better on the nose than Wild Turkey 101, even though I love Wild Turkey 101 and think it's good on the nose. I think Elijah Craig, it just has like a quintessential, super pleasant, super nice bourbon smell.
So I agree with that, but one of the reasons why I always mention the nose of Wild Turkey 101 is because this is 101 proof,
It's true. Yeah.
whereas this is 94 proof.
Yeah.
And the fact that when you take when you nose a glass of Wild Turkey 101, you're not getting like that strong ethanol smell. You get some, but you get much more of like the flavors and the sweetness and the caramel and the baking spices. Whereas when you're smelling the nose from Elijah Craig, it does have a much softer, gentler smell, but it's also 7 proof points, 3.5% less alcohol. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like as impressive that they're able to control the nose.
And it's also the fact that Elijah or Wild Turkey is cheaper too. It's cheaper and higher proof, and usually that's going to equate to it being kind of a barn burner.
Harsher. You're exactly right, Stephen. You typically equate that with being a harsher liquor.
And that color is the best of the three as well.
Oh God, yeah.
How much is the regular 101? $25?
That was 22. But yeah.
22?
22 was going to be my guess anyway, also. Whereas Elijah Craig, for a full bottle, you're looking at 33-ish, give or take.
Now, Wild, I mean, that's just a steal money-wise. The Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
Just a steal.
And I'll see it go for cheaper than that too. There'll be different sales around different things. Like I think like last 4th of July or the one before, I think it was like $17 I bought one.
Yeah. I've seen it memorably for 18 something before taxes, obviously. But again, but like you said, Stephen, that's like when it's on a special. It's on some sort of a special. But everyday price, it's 22 to 23.
And all three of these actually that we have in this lineup, you'll see coming out around this time of year, there'll be like stocking stuffer type gift with some cool, socks or whatever as well.
Or
and
a
it'll
glass or a coaster or something.
And usually it's about the same price. Like maybe it's $1 or $2 more expensive.
I'm curious to see if anyone will catch up to Sazerac in the 50 ml game and 100 ml game. Small format. I mean, it's just, there's not really a close competitor in it. And they're making so much goddamn money on 50 mls.
I
So
think
much money. It's crazy.
I'm looking forward to seeing more as like Jack Daniels, I feel like has really expanded the variety of offerings that they've got at this point. And I think that'd be, I'd love to see a set of just everything that Jack Daniels offers at this point.
They used to have actually made a bunch of money off this on an incentive. I'll see if I can find it and I'll share my screen for you if I can find it. But they used to have a really good like Jack Daniels 50 ml family gift set. Let me see if I can find it.
They do an advent calendar.
Yeah, they do that as well.
And that's a really cool holiday what do you call them, Ryan?
It's a VAP, VAP, value added product.
Okay.
It's technically, usually you get something with it, but not always.
Hey, on the Jack Daniels, the advent calendars, I've never bought one. What are those?
I've only have gotten them as like a Christmas gift through work where they kind of gift everyone one. It's pretty much that set I just showed you, the 5, which now it's either 6 or 8 different brands that they put in the calendar, right? Some are like will be like a Jack Daniels chocolate or something like that, but it's those same 8 SKUs repeated, twice, and then old number 7's probably in there 5 times.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so the reason I'm asking is because in the St. Louis area, I know 2 different stores that, like this time of year, they're going to take an allocated bottle, a highly allocated bottle, and they're going to pair it with that Jack Daniels Advent calendar. And they're going to, like, if you buy the 2 of them together, it comes out to be a really good price.
Yeah.
But you got to buy that goddamn Advent calendar. and I've always passed on it because, like, I'm not worried about the allocated bottle, and I don't really want the advent calendar. I'm not against it, but I just don't have a need for it, right? But
Yeah.
some of the folks that do have a really hard time finding those allocated bottles, that's an option that's good, that is likely to be coming around for you, because I'm telling you, if it happens at two different stores in the St. Louis area, it happens at a store near you too, right? If
Yeah.
you're in a decent sized city, there's nobody's so special that they're coming up with an original idea, right? Like that
Yeah.
doesn't fucking happen.
Everything's been done. To quote Roger Sterling, when the guy got his foot ran over in Mad Men, Steven, like, trust me, this has happened in advertising before. Like, yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
it's but it goes to a testament of the brand, right? It's like they're not going to give those allocations to those stores if they don't buy a shitload of those advent calendars.
Exactly, right?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and not that legally you can't do that, right? But buying more Jack products will help get more allocated things. It'll put you ahead of other stores. So yeah.
Pretty simple dum-dums.
Buy the advent calendar. Just do it. It's like $20, $30. They might have bigger ones now too. I'm not sure.
I don't
Didn't you hear the recession's over? Just buy the fucking calendars, people.
know.
Well, I've had all three of these, and I think I have my ranking.
I have
for
two
one,
of the
two, and
three.
three.
I have two of the three, and I've got my rankings, 1 and 2. Ryan,
I have
do you
my
rankings?
ranking as well.
As 1 of 1.
One of one, but
Okay.
of the three I have here, there's definitely one that's better.
Oh, I forgot that you did have 3.
Yeah, I haven't opened my benchmark yet, but
We know where it would be.
yeah, for sure. I definitely like Evan Williams Honey more. Maybe just based on nostalgia.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But compared to the Wild Turkey, man, it's not even close.
Well,
Yeah.
how do we want to go about this? Steven, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, so I have Four Roses, Elijah Craig, and Wild Turkey, and I would go in that order. 3, Four Roses small batch. 2, Elijah Craig small batch. And then number 1, maybe my favorite bottle of all time, Wild Turkey 101. And I think that I don't dislike any of these three, but I think that the Four Roses for me is actually, this is like a great lineup because they all are distinct enough and all in that similar-ish price range. But I think that the Four Roses has a few funkier notes to it that I just don't like as much, and it just comes down to personal preference. But I can totally see people. I encourage people to get cheap bottles like this and just do flights for yourself, because you could easily have this completely flipped from what I've got it. But I just feel like there's a few funkier notes to the Four Roses that it just seems like a little more acidic to me, whereas the Elijah Craig is a little more kind of weedy, kind of a little bit more mellow, lower proof as well. And then Wild Turkey is a little spicier, a little more full bodied, I would say. And I think that I would have the Wild Turkey 101 in way more ways. Like I said before, like depending on the day, in the summer, I would totally have Wild Turkey 101 with ice or whatever. But I probably would never do that with Elijah Craig small batch. And there's just a number of other ways that I would use the Wild Turkey 101 in cocktails and stuff. And I think I'd pretty much only ever sip Elijah Craig small batch, which is still great for its price range, but it gives the edge to Wild Turkey 101 for me.
Okay. So I've just got Wild Turkey and Elijah Craig small batch to go off of. Of those two, I would definitely put Wild Turkey 101 ahead of Elijah Craig small batch. I think Elijah Craig small batch is a fantastic sipping whiskey. I really do. Some of the best barrel picks you'll ever have are going to be Elijah Craig small batch barrel picks. But when you look at value and taste for what you're getting for the price, I don't know how you beat Wild Turkey 101. Honest to God. Like, for $23, how good it is, how smooth it is, I don't know how you beat that. And like the one thing that I will say is that Wild Turkey 101 is a bolder drink. It's a much bolder bourbon than Elijah Craig small batch. If I was serving a glass to my wife, I would definitely give her Elijah Craig small batch before I gave her Wild Turkey 101. But when it's talking about me, I want the Wild Turkey 101. It's got a great flavor to it. It's got your sweetness, it's got your baking spices, it's got some spice to it. It's well rounded, it's balanced, it's fucking amazing for $23. There, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, obviously I only have the one here, but I have had the others as well, and it's definitely Four Roses my least favorite. The middle is Elijah Craig, and then this Wild Turkey 101 is definitely the top. Four Roses, I to be honest, have never been the biggest fan, and going to their distillery changed my perspective, and I'm definitely going to be more open to trying their whiskey just based on how much I enjoyed their distillery and the rose candle I bought there. So kudos to Four Roses. Elijah Craig is what it is. Good standard bottle. Barrel picks are great. The Toasted Barrel is one of my favorite bottles. But this, I mean, I fell in love with. I definitely haven't ever given this the respect it deserves as I'm holding the plastic bottle. I mean, Steven, your presentation bottle is a little bit better than mine, but it's like the butterscotch in it was awesome. The cinnamon, has all those classic notes, but the nose is great on it. Like everything's just pleasant about it. And on top of that, it's 22 to 25 bucks. Sometimes you probably find it $19.99. 101 proof. There's not a better bottle based on value, I think, in the market. And it doesn't even seem to be close, right? I mean, if I'm going to pay 22 bucks, I'm hoping it's at least close to 100 proof. But with that flavor and all the qualities about it, I mean, it's just there's no comparison right now. They're doing great things in an economy that's getting higher and higher to afford things. You see standard Buffalo Trace sometimes $32 to $35 now on the shelf.
Yeah.
I mean, this Wild Turkey for $10 cheaper, it's like, God, it's something to aspire to. You can make good whiskey and you don't have to overcharge people. And Wild Turkey's doing that and doing a great job.
And by buying Wild Turkey 101, you're supporting Jimmy Russell's dick, right? Like,
yeah, huge.
And it takes a village to support that dick.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it goes without saying, but when something this good and this like complex and this, rich and everything is $22, it really highlights the absurdity of paying hundreds of dollars, secondary market for any of these more elusive bottles. And being honest, being conservative with this, I would say it's better than at least 60% of those, and probably 100% at the price you end up paying. But I would say just on their own in a blind, like roughly 60% of them, you would probably either not be able to tell which one was better or you'd pick Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
So.
Another brother showing